Hey, I'm Noodle Yeti, and welcome to Cardinalia. Last time we expanded upon our industry area with a bunch of farms, and we learned how challenging it is to work with terrain. Today, we're going to go ahead and expand off of this and see if we've learned something, or at least see if we can work around it. We'll be doing this by adding even more industry. Why? Well, because I would like to start reducing some of these material good deficits. So here's the plan. The first thing we're going to do is build an interchange right off over to the right here, right near all of this very light topographical changes at the top of this hill crest. And I actually think we could take advantage of this area as well by placing even more industry and offices up here. Now, you can see the cliffs right to the left of it, and we're just going to completely avoid that. I think I've learned my lesson, and I think that is way too steep. So really at the end, that's probably where we can get maybe some paths and a bunch of trees in there. But really the only thing I want to cross that cliff is going to be roads for access. Now, of course, the bulk of our industry, as you can see, is probably going to be down over there at the bottom on the left here, where we have a lot of flat pads where we can take full advantage of that, placing industry and roads all over the place. All right, so I think the first thing we should do is kind of zoom out here for a second and buy our tiles. I don't know why it threw us way over there, but I'm going to buy all 9 of these ones right here. Then I'm also going to buy these 2 that lead to the very edge of the map. Now, that is because if we come into here, into our water thing, we can look up in the upper left there at our water availability, and we could see that we're actually overproducing by a lot. Now, we can actually export this water for profit. So what I'm going to do is off of this, I don't know what you want to call it, it's the water treatment facility. I'm just going to kind of put out some water pipe that goes all the way along this road here. Or not road, I guess highway. And then just kind of hook it up to the outside map there. And then all the excess water that we're producing will then be exported for a little bit of profit. Now, we don't need to do that. If we hover over our money in the bottom right, you could see we're earning about 9,000 an hour. So we're definitely doing pretty well there. I think now we're up to 10,000 already with just exporting that little bit of water. But from here, I want to actually level out a pad up here because I want to build the intersection first. So I'm thinking this height right here is perfectly good. And now I'm actually going to do something a little bit wild here, and we're going to extend the pad all the way up to the highway here. And we're going to eliminate this kind of little thing that sticks out from the hill right there. And we're just going to create this really big, large, flat pad here. Now, I'm not quite sure how I want this to be laid out over here. So I think I'm going to go ahead and time-lapse the highway and getting the roads laid out for at least the top of the hill up here. And so I will be right back. All right, here we are. I've got all the roads laid out and I've got everything zoned in the way I'd like it. If you want to check that out, we got a bunch, well, let's push I so we could see. Got a bunch of industry. I put offices along the outside, and I even got a couple commercial buildings in here, but for the most part, I wanted to keep this generic industry. And I even decided to go for a little bit of office zoning over here, right on this hillside. I think once we get a lot of trees in here, this will look pretty cool, and it might be a really neat place to work. It's definitely out of the way, so these companies better pay their people appropriately if they have to climb either this S-bend or drive through this entire industrial area just to get to it, but I kind of like it, and I think it'll be really cool, especially with maybe the views from their offices out the back. I mean, granted, all of these assets have pretty much only one window on the back, but I think you get what I mean. We could pretend that they have more windows or something. They could have this view of the industrial area over here as well as the bay, and they could see the cargo ships going by in the background. And that actually brings up a point. I did consider putting a cargo hub in here. However, given the size of our city and how small it is, the size of the cargo hub is absolutely massive, and it's just ridiculous, and it's overkill. I wish they'd given us a smaller one, but I think that's something we're going to have to wait for in the, I believe, the first DLC, which I believe is ships and something or other. I can't remember what it is, but either way, when that comes, that's when we'll be able to possibly, hopefully, make an actual small cargo harbor that makes sense for a city of our size. But for now, we're not going to be doing that. And I am liking the way this looks. I think once we get to the end, we'll go ahead and add trees and paths and terraform and things like that. Now, I have been watching the older videos, and I don't like how I do the time lapse right at the very end and then just leave it. I don't really show you guys or showcase what the city looks like after it's all done. So I think that's what I'm going to do next, or starting this episode, is we'll have the ending time lapse, and then I'll kind of go around and showcase how I think things look and whatnot, and then we'll end the video. But anyways, I'm sure many of you don't care about that. Not everybody stays to the end of the video. But now is when we need to get into the bottom area over here. If we look into our topographical view here, we're going to have pretty much only this one road that comes from here down into this area. And it looks like the way the land is set up, it really wants to just go down in this direction towards this little kind of like bay area. But what we really need is for that road to hook up into this one right over here. And ooh, I just realized something I totally failed in planning over here. I forgot that I needed an access to this side of the highway over here. Oh well, I'll have to change my plans for what I wanted over here, because I really don't want to go back and fix that. So we'll just leave that as is. And I guess I'll tell you what I wanted to do. I really wanted to fill in this whole area with a lot of residential and commercial and forestry industry, but I would need this access on this side of the highway from it. And I was planning on continuing, autosave here, continuing from this roundabout straight out and over the highway and then curve around and into it, providing access over here. But it looks like I totally spaced on that when I was actually building, but it's okay. We can change our plans. We're not even there, so we have plenty of time to think about what we need to do or want to do. But yeah, I'm thinking we'll come in with our level terrain tool here. We're going to need to increase the size here. I'm probably thinking 100's fine. And we're going to want to make this hillside as flat up against the bottom as possible. I'm thinking something like that. We'll clear out the space here, maybe push it out towards the sea a little bit here. Pretend we're pushing that dirt out towards the water. And then even a little bit up in here. Something like that I think is looking pretty good. And then we'll need to think about how we get this road down. Now this is absolutely very, very high. That is hundreds of feet up in the air. So I think we're actually going to want to curve this road down and then over towards this way. And we're probably going to want to have a roundabout maybe right here in the center where we could bring something off and then bring all the roads off from there. And I will be right back and get this all kind of done up. Alright, so here we are. I've kind of got a rough layout here of the roads that I think is decent enough. Now, I didn't want to zone anything in or put anything in yet because I remember last episode I bought a bunch of city services and I wanted to see if we could fit some of them in over here. I believe we bought a crematorium, which is supposed to help out with death care, although I don't know if we actually need that just yet. So if we look up there in the upper left, we have a cemetery availability of only 287 out of 5,000. So I think we can hold off on this one. Now, if we go over to the next one, which is our recycling center, we have a garbage processing status of 430. We're generating 439 tons, but only processing 159 tons. With our landfill having 29% of it available. So I think this is something we actually should think about putting in here. And this is actually a lot bigger than I thought it was. So that is not good. Not good at all. But let's read its things here. It has a storage capacity of 1,500 tons and a processing capacity of 1,500 tons. So I think this might actually be something that we come over here. And let's see, if we bust it out in this tool, it fits in this space. So I think this is something where we simply pause the game and demolish our existing one. And I don't know why everybody was happy about that. That was kind of strange. But either way, this is where we come in and we add in our new recycling center over here. Now it looks like it really wants to, the only way it's going to fit is on the main road here. So I'm thinking we could probably just take like an alleyway off of this one here, bring it out maybe right about there. And then we can go ahead and throw this thing. Oh, nope, that is actually too far. Interesting. Okay, well, I guess I'm just going to go ahead and put it on the main road because I really don't care. I don't want to think too hard about this. I think that'll be just fine. Now, if we read its stats, it has medium ground pollution, low air pollution, and medium noise pollution, compared to the landfill, which has medium of everything. Now, I believe it was the air pollution that was affecting the residential downwind. So I think this should be okay over here. Let's just go ahead and take a look at what we have available. It has 15 vehicles. Oh, how many vehicles did this one have? 20. Now, we didn't have anybody complaining about anything being picked up, I don't believe, so I think we're fine there. And then for this one, it adds more processing capacity, it looks like, but it adds more pollution. Then it has a storage extension, which just adds storage capacity. So there's nothing to help this thing increase environmental impact. So we're just going to have to leave that one alone over there. But I did not want to put all our city services over there. I was hoping we can kind of put some new stuff over here. Now, I do happen to know that we happen to have park maintenance building now. And I think that would be kind of nice to put down. And I'm thinking kind of putting it down in maybe one of these like awkwardly shaped areas if it will let me. Right over here, there seems to be a bunch of awkward zoning, so we could just go ahead and put that down right there. Now, the reason why this one is important is because if we pause the game, let's go ahead and pause. Then we're going to come over to our residential area here. I believe we have this camping site. Wow. Years after you place this camping site, it looks so good. Well, actually, I don't know if I could say it looks good because I can't even see anything in there. But I think that's the point. You're supposed to feel like you're camping out in nature. And this just totally nails it. Well, it doesn't blend very well with the surrounding area, and it's kind of hard to put trees around it, but either way, if we click on it, we can see mouse over its attractiveness. It says it has an attractiveness of 4. It says it's supposed to have, if we mouse over it, a total attractiveness of 10, but it has minus 75% for lack of maintenance. And that is happening to every park in the area. So our Sims are technically receiving less of a park benefit without one of these maintenance buildings. So that's why I want to go ahead and just throw one down in our city. So this thing can send its vehicles out, handle our parks and whatnot. And it's only 40,000 a month. Especially when our income right now is 25,000 an hour. I don't know how many hours are in a month in this game. I think it might just be 24 hours a month. So we're definitely way over that 40,000. That's just 2 hours and we've already paid for it. It does not look like we got anything new. So one of the things I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to change what I did last time because I think this looks just absolutely terrible in the spot that it was in, so bad that I'm actually kind of embarrassed of its placement over there. So I'm actually going to go ahead and put our, what is this, the wastewater treatment facility or something like that. we're going to find a place for it and put it somewhere else where it doesn't cut into the terrain and give like a 30-foot cliff somewhere. There we go. We got rid of it now, and I'm just going to go ahead and put in some offices over here just to as remembrance or something like that, in memoriam of the wastewater treatment facility that was there. And I also kind of want to point something cool out. So we have a couple of these streets in, and I haven't said anything about it yet until now, but there's Applegate streets in this game. Now I'm not going to assume that they named or added this in because of my Applegate city. But at first I thought it was because they might like look at older city files and be like, oh, like you made an Applegate city in City Skylines 1, so we're going to add it as a street name in City Skylines 2. Like, you know, it looks at your old saves or something like that. But as I was watching another YouTuber, I was looking at their street names, and they even mentioned it. They were like, look, not because they'd seen my content, but they were talking about a facility on that street, and it was the Applegate Street. And that's when I realized, I'm like, oh, this isn't just me. It's not just the game looking at old save files from City Skylines 1 and naming your streets after it. It's actually a street name in the game. And, you know, whether it was on purpose or intentional that it was after my city or not, I think it's really cool, and it makes me feel really good to see Applegate in the game here. But anyways, that's that. I think now that's all the city services that we have updated, and I think we can go ahead and just fill this area in with zoning. And I was thinking for down here that I would just go all industry down here. And then along here, we could put offices up and down along this main road. I'm not too worried about that. Maybe we can create some pedestrian crossings. And then over here, I was thinking of also putting down just all offices over there. And then I think that'll be pretty much it. Pretty much it for today. So I will go ahead and show everything growing in, and then I guess I'll just get right into the detailing time lapse, and then we'll kind of showcase what everything looks like at the end. Alright, so I've planted trees and I've put down pathways, and I kind of want to show it a little bit. I decided to leave this space empty simply because we have offices zoned there, and well, since none of it's zoned in, we can't really do anything there. But I just decided to come down and just absolutely pepper this place with oaks and apple trees and spruces, as well as a bunch of these wild green bushes. And I've just gone through and I've added all of it. Oh, looks like I could remove a couple of these paths here that are no longer necessary. But I also wanted to add in some accessibility paths where maybe we have the tram stop over here. They can simply just walk around the roundabout and then get to work. Same with like right over here. I had to leave this path in as well because this place hasn't zoned in, and same with over here. So we can get rid of those though. Let that guy regrow in. But I'm kind of liking it. I think there was only one spot here where right at the bottom I had to use I guess I didn't really have to because I was so far out I couldn't see, but there's a little bit of a retaining wall there with a little bit of a guardrail. Then as soon as that happens, you can see people can just easily walk all the way up the hill and either right up into this industry area where they might work, or off into this direction where they might work up and over here and get around. I didn't really, now that I'm looking at it, I didn't really provide much access over here for these people to walk around, especially since I have a commercial building there. We might not be able to squeeze in a pathway over here from right over here to over here. But I don't know if this road is something that people would want to walk on or cross, considering the highway's right there. And my lord, that is a lot of taxis. It's actually kind of wild. But anyways, we've got at least a little bit of walkability going on over here. Maybe not a crazy amount, but there's at least a decent enough amount. Let's go ahead and just add that there with a little pedestrian walkway. Maybe people from over here walk down this way over here and then cross safely at the light or something. I don't know. Then they can get in there. But I'm thinking this is decent enough. I decided to add in another accessibility way right over here, considering this is a pretty large area to only be going through one little intersection right over here. Or at least in my mind, this is kind of large. Maybe, I think if it wasn't industry and this was residential, I think that would be perfectly fine to have without a side access over here. But I am kind of liking the way this area is almost turning out. I kind of like how I have the trees that go down to the water. So maybe if like these people are on break, they can come down and hang out over here maybe once the trees grow in and they don't feel like they're always at work or something like that. I wish I could get this a little bit denser, but these trees are just so wide, which I kind of get because if you look at like the forest over here, as soon as they're all grown in, like this is actually really dense. So I'm hoping that's what that'll look like behind these industry buildings between them and the water. But yeah, I'm kind of okay with this. A few mistakes such as transportation and, well, it just doesn't look like I really did much because of all the terrain. Well, I mean, I actually didn't do much, but I mean, we couldn't really do much because of all the terrain. So I think for what it is, I think we did an okay job, maybe. Maybe it was okay. At least in my mind, I think it's okay. And so yeah, I think judging by all of the lack of workers we're having and also lack of high skilled labor, I think that means that we're probably going to need to focus on our population, as well as maybe even considering adding in some of these education tabs, such as like the technical university or the medical. I don't know about medical, but maybe technical, maybe the technical university or something like that. Hey, Future Yeti here. I was just loading the game up to showcase our production panel because I realized in editing here that I forgot to do that. And it turns out that as I logged in, well, not really logged in, as I loaded the game up, we hit milestone 10. So we are now a small city. Great work. This is a major step forward. You are one step closer to greatness. We got $2.5 million dues, 10 stars, and 15 squares. If we check out the progression panel here, we got high density offices. We can remove, high density offices. We can remove speed limits on highways. So basically we can give ourselves an autobahn. And we've got combustion engine ban as well as city promotion. I think the only one I'll do is probably the high speed highways. I'll probably just apply it to the whole city, but we're not going to do that today. But basically what I wanted to do is kind of just go here into the production panel and see what happened. We go to our productions. It turns out, holy cow, we are at a absolutely massive deficit now for everything. We were in a slight positive place with only a few of these being in the deficit, such as ore, coal, and grain. But now everything is. So I think in the future, that's what we're going to have to take care of. Well, far in the future, because we have a very massive residential demand. And as far as our production panel goes, it's okay. I would have to say that more things are in the green rather than the red now. I think some of the things we'd want to think about is probably producing more food, more timber, and I'm not quite sure what petrochemicals are used for in this game. I still haven't quite looked at everything yet. So I think those are the two that I want to focus on, and I think I'm going to raise the taxes on these other ones that we're in the deficit of because I don't really think we need those. But yeah, that's all I wanted to do, just kind of hop in, show you the production panel, and apparently we reached level 10. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. And next time we will get into building residential. So I hope to see you then. Bye for now.